Hey guys, Humble back again. Today we're going to compare the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5 to Apple's latest iPhone 15 Pro Max. So these are the most expensive phones that both companies have to offer. Going to compare the differences and let you know which phone is right for you. So we'll start with the design. With the Fold 5, you're obviously getting a folding phone. You have the ability to have a tablet in your pocket. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is just more like a traditional smartphone. Rectangular shaped chocolate bar design. The Fold 5, when folded up, this actually feels smaller and more compact and thinner, easier to use with one hand when typing. Though when reaching the top, it can get challenging. You have to tilt your phone and crawl your finger all the way to the top. However, the iPhone 15 Pro Max has a much larger and more traditional display that most people are used to. So it's much better for watching videos and playing games compared to the Z Fold 5. If you have it closed, it's not a very optimal experience because it's much thinner, and the aspect ratio, it is a little bit weird. Of course, once you open up the Fold, you get the tablet experience, but not all the apps work properly. So you have to close it up again and use the smaller screen, which apps may not work properly either due to the fact that it is long and thin. But with the Fold 5 in the tablet mode, it is awesome for watching YouTube, playing games, great for multitasking. You can launch 3 apps at once. You can do floating windows. You can even have an S Pen, draw on it, doodle, take notes. But one thing I do want to point out with the latest iPhone 15 Pro Max, the one word you're going to hear a lot is titanium. So they use a new material that allows them to make their phone a lot lighter. And I think having a light phone does make a really big difference, because one of the biggest downside of using the Z Fold 5 is that it does get really heavy over time, especially using it with one hand. Next on the list is the display itself. So with the Fold, you get the giant 7.6-inch display on the inside once you open up the phone. And if it's closed up, you just get a smaller screen on the outside. iPhone 15 Pro Max, you get close to a 7-inch display. I think it's about 6.7 inch or so. Both displays are pretty sharp and clear. Of course, the 5 is larger when you open it up. Though one thing I do want to point out here is Samsung actually makes the display for the iPhone 15. And it is interesting that with the iPhone 15 model, the peak brightness goes up to 2000 nits, which is higher than what Samsung offer on their phone, and it tops off at 1750 nits. I remember in prior years, Samsung would always keep the best screen and display technology to themselves in their Ultra phones, but in recent years, I have seen that the iPhone tend to have the highest peak brightness. So 2000 peak brightness on the iPhone compared to the 1750 on the Galaxy series. Really doesn't make that much of a difference unless you are outside in the beaming sun every single day. You will notice it then. But even so, peak brightness, it only kicks in when it's super bright outside. It's not something you use a lot if you stay indoors on a day-to-day basis. So it's just something to keep in mind. Camera, you get the triple camera setup, but as much as I love Samsung, iPhone is just a better camera. Especially iPhone 15 Pro Max, they got all the bells and whistles. For Samsung, you don't get the best camera system on the Fold. If you want that, you gotta get the Galaxy S23 Ultra instead. So if you're looking for the best camera, then iPhone will win this category. Next on the list, it is battery. With the Z Fold 5, when I was using the phone, I get anywhere from 10 to 15 hours of battery life on average, so not a full battery life, but almost a full day. So it all depends on how you use your phone, how often you use it. Ever since the iPhone 13 series, the battery life has improved significantly, and I have here people using their phone for anywhere from 2 to 3 days on a single charge, which is insane. Android is not quite there yet, so with the Fold 5, with the larger display, the tablet and everything, of course it's going to suck up more battery, and I do expect the iPhone 15 Pro Max to have a better battery life than the Galaxy Z Fold 5. Next on the list is software. This is a pretty obvious one. You're looking at iOS compared to Android. It's all personal preference at this point. I find that Android has more customization. You can do more tweaking with the font, the icon, the widgets, anything you want. But with iOS, it's just simplicity, easy to use. You can give it to a little kid, an old person, anybody can figure it out. And it's all about the Apple ecosystem. You get the iMessage, the blue bubbles. So all that comes into a package, especially in the US, it makes a big difference. People love the iPhone, they love the ecosystem. But around the world, most people use Android phones, so it's all personal preference there. Price point, the Galaxy Z Fold 5 is at $1,800. and the iPhone 15 Pro Max is $1,200. I know it's insane that these top-of-the-line smartphones are crossing over the $1,000 mark these days, but if you really want a tablet in your pocket, you gotta pay the premium to get the Galaxy Z Fold 5. But you just want something that is safe, comfortable, top-of-the-line, reliable, easy to use with high security, and have a nice closed ecosystem with all your friends and coworkers in the US, then the iPhone is a better choice. But you want to try something new, explore, experiment with different form factors, live life a little. You got the extra cash to spend and get the Galaxy Z Fold 5. And with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, you're finally getting USB-C this year after the EU forced them to do it. It's not like Apple did it by choice. They figured since they gotta use the USB-C over there, they might as well do it all over the world. But Apple tried to use Lightning port as long as they can, and I don't blame them. At the end of the day, it's a business. They make more money using their own proprietary port versus just using a universal one. So I see why they did not use the USB-C for as long as they can, but now it's finally a common feature that you can use one cable to charge all your iPhones, iPad, Macs, even your friends' Android phones. And this year with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, you get an action button, which replaces the mute button. The mute toggle that's been there for the last 15 years or so. The Samsung has something similar with the Bixby button. It acts like an action button. You can replace Bixby with other stuff as well. So there's that. With the Z Fold 5, this is the most expensive phone that Samsung had to offer. iPhone 15 Pro Max is the most expensive phone that iPhone has to offer. They both have their strengths and weaknesses, and the best choice all depends on your personal preferences, really. If you're looking for a foldable phone with a large display, the Fold 5 is a great option. If you're looking for more of a traditional smartphone with a great camera, then the iPhone 15 is the better choice. Ultimately, the best way to decide which phone is best for you is to try both, go into a store, play with them, and go from there. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Hope you guys find this video to be helpful. Please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more tech reviews and comparisons. Please check out my last video on my Galaxy Z Fold 5 final review. If you haven't already, I made a 30-minute video review on that phone. I personally would not be getting the iPhone 15 series because of the fact that they force you to use eSIM in the US. For the rest of the world, they still have the SIM card trays, so we live another year. This tells me that in the US market, it is a little experimental, but I'm afraid to switch over to the iPhone because it makes it very challenging to switch back to Android. With eSIM, you have to worry about downloading a specific app for the iPhone, the carrier, and same thing on Android. We switch back and forth. I talked to the carriers as well, and they think eSIM is a mess, so if it workers are thinking that, I don't even want to have to deal with that unless I have to. So for now, I like using the physical SIM card because I can just buy any new phone, slap a SIM card in there and call my day. But if I have an eSIM on the iPhone, then I got to figure out how do I switch it over to an Android phone and vice versa. So I have been holding out on the iPhone series over the last couple of years, since last year, I guess, ever since they forced you to use eSIM. And I'll wait till the day where Apple completely abandoned this SIM card and then the rest of the Android world will follow. And then maybe at that point, eSIM will be easier to use. But for now, I'm still holding out a little bit. But either way, both phones are great options. If you don't really care about it, you don't really switch phones that much, that wouldn't apply for you. But for me personally, I like to switch phones pretty often, and Apple makes it challenging on purpose just to make you stay in the ecosystem. But that's always been the Apple strategy. That's how they make money. So I'm not going to be mad at them about that. Either way, appreciate the time and see you guys in the next video.